far, not sure if that means they're going to go with the same picks.
Wow, they're completely remaking the
I
game.
know, right?
Okay. I'm curious what the issue was, if literally this was a server issue and the computers just completely crashed and there was no way to salvage the game, or if it was some sort of bug that got enabled. But that's pretty huge. Considering the standings right now, so Invictus Gaming and LGD, frankly, very, very close. So this could be the time to surpass. And again, we talk about how that coveted fourth spot is what everyone wants for playoffs, and this is a huge swing for it. And that LGD, they had momentum behind them. They were making superior rotations. They were ahead 1-6. They were beating IG in that early game. This is sketch to me. I feel
Maokai ban. Yeah, so not the exact same rules. It's funny how every ban was exactly the same, albeit in a different spot, until the very last one. So yeah, with this remake, this is like completely Etch-a-Sketch for Invictus Gaming. They get another chance. That was effectively a 15-minute warm-up for them to just go again. And no wonder LGD's upset. They literally had all of that effort in the early game go to nothing.
I'm wondering if, for compensation, LGD got to change their bans. Because IG actually used the exact same bans, which, to be fair, they're all very targeted bans. But the fact that the Maokai ban is brand new in context of the other game, and looking at the top of the score, it doesn't indicate that maybe it was a free buy to LGD and IG lost the game initially. It looks like it's just a straight remake, but that is very curious.
Yeah, really strange, and we're going to see something a little bit more conventional. So maybe Maokai broke the game. Maybe Fizz Top broke the game. Either way, we're not going to see it this time. Yangsu on his favorite half-dragon, as well as Shuan going to get the lock-in for Jarvan. Same pick so far. Maybe, yeah, if that is a very interesting... I want to see what the rest of the picks are. If this is the same game effectively in picks and bans. So far, the only difference is that Maokai was banned out and Yangsu went on to Shyvana.
I assume that we'll see the same composition, although, I mean, this is IG's chance to shake it up. Obviously, they weren't finding a lot of success, which is curious because Illusion is very well known. So, if you know Clear Love, EDG's jungler, Illusion and Clear Love are kind of like inverse of each other. Illusion is incredibly good at early ganks, and he kind of is lackluster in the late game team fights, which he found a lot of success on Skarner, but it's very easy to team fight with Skarner in all honesty. But his ganks on Skarner early were pretty much legendary. Would go from mid to top to mid to bottom and get successful ganks across the board in one fell swing. Vi, it really suits his playstyle. Like, it's an early gank champion. It has a very easy team fight to figure out. You just, assault and battery into that back line or assault and battery the high priority target. So kind of curious that he stumbled with that. But our picks are already being changed up, so it's not going to be the same compositions. Like you said, Kog'Maw now coming out, Tristana as well, being switched to the other side.
Yeah, of course, we're going to see 17 on Jax, too. Interesting pickup as well to take on Shyvana. Should be a bit of a rough early game for LGD's top lane, but if they can turn it on around anyways, well, anything can happen. I mean, we saw Fizz Top, so let's see what they take for the rest of Invictus now hovering the Evelynn pickup for Illusion. He did consider that in the last game. Let's see if he goes back to Vi.
I think he's going to stick with Eve just because he didn't feel comfortable in the Vi. He didn't necessarily look that comfortable.
Oh, Braum. So I'm not sold on the Braum Kog'Maw lane. It seems a little wonky, but he is a very strong support.
It's a protect Kog'Maw composition. But typically they run this with someone like Zed or Yasuo. Obviously Yasuo banned this time around.
Almost every time around, although it ends up being Invictus that bans it away from Wayless once again. And they do lock in the Evelynn, so we will get to see Illusion on that. That leaves only the mid lane for LGD. Let's see what they go for here. Hovering the Ahri. We know Wayless is a fan of this champion.
So a lot of the top Chinese players, of course, have challenger accounts in Korea. On Wayless' account, he's been playing a ton of Ahri, and he's been playing a ton of Talon.
But he's also thinking about a couple of other options. He did go back to Twisted Fate for a moment. Will he go with the Orianna? And he does. This is interesting. There's a lot of self-displacement in this composition. It could function as a rudimentary ball delivery system. When you look at like 17 with his Leaf Strike, you've got Jarvan with his Cataclysm. Even XQ and PYL have self-moving abilities. And that could combo up, not in the same sense as like a Shyvana might, for example, but it still could be the wombo combo comp they're looking for.
They're very similar compositions in what they want to do in terms of their AD carry. You know, a utility support base mid with movement speed dispositions behind them. You have hyper carries on the AD carry. A bit more utility coming from Kog'Maw, but a bit more, you know, team fight presence coming from Tristana with her explosive shot, and of course that range late game. Very heavy support, protect AD carry supports. You know, they have hard engage potential on them, but they're very much more about peeling and creating a zone as opposed to like a Leona like going full in. The difference is in the Jax and the Shyvana. So obviously Shyvana about creating that zone, perhaps split push pressure. Jax, the king of split push pressure, although this is 4.11, so Jax has seen a nerf. It was on base stats. But the damage spread, the damage difference... Yeah, and between LGD and IG right now, like Jax is going to far outscale Shyvana as far as a damage threat on the team. So, you know, if Tristana goes down, they still have Orianna as a damage threat, which Lulu, decent late game, not going to be an Orianna. If Orianna and Tristana go down, they then also have Jax to fall back on. Whereas, you know, IG only have Kog'Maw. Lulu, not the best in terms of the context of Ori versus Lulu late game. And then Shyvana.
Seems like Zatai definitely wanted to play the Lulu this time, and they've been focusing a bit on it. We'll see what they do. It's going to be the remake of the first game tonight. After a couple of technical difficulties, we'll be loading onto the Rift once again. Here we go, Invictus Gaming taking on LGD.
See if we can get that scoreboard. Yeah, so it's a complete remake. No point was awarded to either side.
And yeah, it gives a second chance to Invictus Gaming. They frankly were not doing very well early on.
Oh, it far favors them for this. Yeah. You have to think about the momentum that a team builds to A, have that disrupted by a pause, but then to B, have it completely reset with different team compositions. Like the fact that it's not only a remake, but that it's a complete remake with different compositions, I think is a little on the BS side.
Well, what are you going to do, right? And then, of course, you have Zatai operating like 3 computers at the same time. Although Youngsu's in his chair.
He's literally playing for all of his teammates.
That is some serious micro.
I love that he stands up and he does the pick ban phase.
Why don't they just switch him to top?
That's what TSM did for a little bit, so they could have Dyrus in the middle. They actually had him put as the mid laner. He still played, obviously, on the top lane, but it was physically so they could get him seated in the middle of the team.
Yeah. That's clever ways to overcome specific rules. Everything's starting up pretty normally, although you do see Zatai hanging out in the river right now. Makes me think maybe they will go for some kind of invade or at least establish some ward presence. They actually have wards littering the river right now, and no one really wants to cross that threshold. There's a lot of early game catch potential that LGD has here, and they don't know if all 5 of them waiting in the bush.
Definitely. What we can really talk about is kind of what went right for LGD last game. Or I shouldn't even say last game, you know, last 15 minutes. And it was actually Chuan. He found a lot of early gank pressure that, frankly, Illusion didn't find. Although, looks like we have a delayed invade coming in.
Yep, there's the sweep coming in, making sure they're not seen out, but they will be here. As on the retreat effort, it gets swept away and the red buff gets started up. But there's 3-man here. Kitties and Illusion could contest this if they want to. And they don't know Illusion's here just yet. Gotta be so careful. Looks like it will be the very early engage. Kitties backs away after getting hooked up by PYL. Only the supports trade a whole lot of meaningful damage and everything gets back to a much normal start. But this is going to favor Invictus. So you see them coming right back on in. LGD says, no, we need this buff. We've already committed to it. We're gonna be behind. And the fight once again continues. Illusion chugging potions with the best from Kitties. Gonna get locked up, and that is going to get smited away by Illusion. Chuan, he's getting taken low. Illusion going forward, flashing. And that was one flash burn. Kitties has to be careful not to take too much damage, but they're still on the chase. See if they can get themselves a first blood. That's a flash forward for Kitties, and the winner's bite coming in. Illusion is going to go down, or Illusion's going to stay alive, and then he's going to go down. Kid's getting himself first blood and a double kill, but they had to be careful. The teleport in from 17 meant that it ended up being a 2v2 once again. So they trade 2 for 1. IG off to a much better start right now, and also free farm Youngsu.
Okay, 2 things. I had just credited previously LGD's strategical aptitude and how impressed I was with them, how they falter a bit on the mechanical side in the context of China. It's still a very mechanically strong team, but they were always much more about their rotations and their shot calling. First thing, brilliant the fact that they took the 2 sweepers. They knew that they wanted to make that invade. We got to say we have 2 sweepers, which you do not see that from teams ever. It's like 1 sweeper max, and that's if it's an Elise. But the fact that they have the 2 sweepers, they got the 2 wards placed, brilliant. Why would you invade a Braum level 1? That's suicide. That champion is OP at level 1, as well as an Evelynn. The fact that Zitai then made the statement, okay, they're invading. You say that none of the mid laners got involved. Well, Zitai forced Wayless. He shoved as hard as he could. And, his team was just telling you, we got this, we're okay, we can do this, it's fine, you don't have to come, just make sure Wayless can't come. That was a huge strategical misstep from LGD to think that they could get away with anything right there. They did not have the superior level 1, and they got burned for it.
Well, if it had all 5, it might have helped, but yeah, that was...
Well, that's a 2 buff. Well, knowing that it's going to be that 3v3, you look at Braum, no thank you, I'm out. That's a 2 buff lead on Kid for his Kog'Maw. Hasn't gone and spent that gold yet, but he also has red buff.
Yeah, and Illusion comes out losing absolutely nothing out of all that, got the red smite away, and then he went down giving it over to Kid. Says, alright, that's fine, that's something I can live with. And then you have the 2-1 kill spread, they're not showing it on the screen exactly right now, but XQ is hugely down in farm because he's had to back away, hasn't been able to been involved in a lot of that, and this is going to alleviate pressure on the bot side. And with a Kog'Maw having no pressure early game, that's great for Invictus, and now Wayless is in a bit of trouble as Illusion becomes visible and sends some hate spikes out to help Zitai out. Superior farm all around on this team, actually. IG, even in the top lane, because Yangsu had a little bit of free farm opportunity to deal with this lane as well. Now there's a big of an engagement going on. XQ going forward. Shuan is in the mix, and Kid's going down. Kitties can't stay alive. Cathian Surprise won't be enough to get any damage on. Kitty's falling down too. That is going to be a kill over to XQ and an assist to boot as Shuan picks that one up too. So there's a good play to answer back. And now Illusion in the top lane. Fine, 17. Leap Strike already spent, but he's going to burn his flash to get away from that. He's not messing around.
Very nice play from Chuan to recognize where he needed to be, where the power was on the map, and to gank it effectively. Immediately transitioned into an even earlier dragon. Last time around, it was an 8:30 dragon. This time around, 5:30. Doing a good job juggling the aggro right there. I feel like Chuan has really kind of come into his own. He was very much criticized. Effectively, LGD's entire roster has been replaced. PYL and Chuan are kind of the last standing members. Everyone else come and gone. And it was almost like they were targeted for having weak champion pools. Of course, the ban against STYZ affecting that position in particular right there. But it's like you have a weak champion pool, you can be banned out off the team. Chuan kind of scraped by only being a Lee Sin player. We started to see some success on his Elise, and frankly, his Jarvan looks really good back-to-back right now.
Yeah, it's worked out for him, and I think this might be the next thing teams have to focus. And he used to be considered very much, the one-trick pony. I'm going to sit on Lee Sin and do well, and if I don't, it's not going to be as pretty. This time, he's managed to get himself 2 kills and an assist in all of that. Even if the shot calling has been a little questionable, LGD does find themselves up with a slight lead in the opening stages of this game. Invictus still mechanically misstepping. Succumbing to the gank was really surprising. They usually are good at escaping here, and now Kid going a little too far forward when Kitties isn't even there.
Is going to get a burn from that dot. So effectively in Tristana's lane phase, they recently nerfed this on the 4.13 patch. And this is how Tristana lanes kind of pan out, although Kid and Kitty's doing a good job making sure that XQ is pushed in so he doesn't get a chance to really trade. Anytime that E is up, and that's her dot, she's going to step forward and she's going to burn it on you. It's a targetable ability, and the damage on it is ridiculous, especially early game. I think it starts out at like close to 100 damage over time with a grievous wound, so it also stops your pot and your sustain in lane. Super effective. It's like a Pokemon. It's devastating.
One of the most effective early game tools for Tristana is that explosive shot. You're right, and that's against a Kog'Maw too. Once Kid hits 6, it's going to be a very different story because he will have his living artillery to be able to shell out a lot of damage to answer. But the way that they're set up with Braum, they have to full-on engage if they want to take a fight, and Kid is not in that safety zone yet. Now Zitai pushing Wayless away. Illusion looking for maybe something around the side, maybe something up top. He has so many options. Zitai, yeah.
Wayless went and he farmed Race, although we do see Chuan looking at possibly a very delicious Zitai.
There's the shockwave, there's the flag and drag, forcing the wild growth, or it should force the wild growth. Yeah, there it is. And that was a nice trade, I suppose. You got one ultimate for one ultimate.
Got the flash as well.
Zatai is not going to fall down to a gank quite so easily. It is surprising Kid and Kitties have gone that way. Whoa, Young Su wants to take a fight on to 17. They're both, well, level 7, level 6. And got to be careful about diving a Jax under there, but he will be able to push the wave as far as he can, despite being at actually an item deficit right now.
Youngsu doing the best job that he can on that Shyvana. It won't turn into a kill lane. Obviously, Shyvana at this point is going to get too many resistances and be too innately tanky for Jax to 100-0 without Youngsu royally screwing that one up. That said, Youngsu's not really going to be able to do anything to stall the relevance of Jax late game. So, yes, he's down in CS. What does that really mean in the grand scheme of things? Not much.
Okay, he's going to get away. Yeah. Jax is still a monster at later game, you're right, despite any of the nerfs. And this is on 17, too, who plays him extremely well.
They only equated out to about 800 gold as far as like actual stat worth, base health, and I believe a slight damage reduction.
So yes, early game is definitely a lot rougher. However, looking at the way this is playing out right now, this is one of the most standard laning games that I have seen in the LPL. They usually decide to go for a lot more shenanigans, and you can't help but thinking that IG, knowing what happened last game, are just trying to play this out as safe as they possibly can. Dragon, about to come up. This is a chance for Invictus to get back into the gold game if they do. Teleport available on Youngsu. It's down on 17. Might come back up by about that time, though. We'll see if they do have enough. PWL looking to make a play. Splits the uprights with it.
Look at the threat, too, of just PYL stepping forward, not knowing, because they don't have vision on Xuan. He is down in that bot area, so Kid and Kitties, their spider senses are probably tingling. But just the bluff of PYL stepping forward, obviously training them, but at what point will he step forward and there'll actually be a Jarvan Lantern gank behind him?
Yeah, you never know, right? Trying to get those baits out. However, unbeknownst to them, Xuan looking to make a move around the side for Zatai. They really have been trying to focus, but he's pinged out. He's seen, I know exactly what you're doing, says Zatai. Xuan will just have to settle for trying to sweep a ward that isn't there, so he gets nothing. Oh, he might get Zatai. Whoa, hello, goodbye. I don't think so.
So Wayless finally took the CS advantage, although we do see Illusion actually coming in the back, so I may be cut off as maybe Illusion gets a little frisky.
No, he's backing away. No friskiness on this Evelyn. Not just yet.
Wayless has traded a lot of his tower's health for that Wraith camp that he's been consistently taking. He has found the CS lead, but, you know, at what global cost to his team, because that tower is incredibly low. I want to also talk about the issue last time, the fact that he doesn't seem to understand correctly when to take the Wraith camp, because the last time that the camera actually panned over there, he sacrificed pretty much half of a wave in the cannon creep, which the gold does not.
But wait, those Wraiths are worth so much, right? Oh, Zatai.
But wait, the big Wraith, it's like 76 gold.
Hold on. We'll talk about that in a minute, because that is a wild growth, keeping that Shyvana really, really big, able to go under the tower, and that's going to be 17 going down. Kill credit going over to Zatai. Youngsu says, thank you very much, I'll take an assist, and I can push the wave. But they are neglecting their mid lane. So Xuan and Wayless are able to put some damage on this turret to answer. But, yeah, that was definitely worthwhile, I suppose.
Oh, definitely. Zatai, the OG of the Zillion pick.
Oh,
obviously recognized for its dive potential, makes the first successful roam other than the junglers.
Oh, here we go. Dragon being started up. Teleport available on Youngsu, not on 17, but they don't know this is happening. Kitty's trying to get around to stop it, but no, it's going to go down. They're late to the party. They went way too far on that one. Now Xuan starting the fight. He might have regretted it, though. He's going to go down before he can flag and drag over. PYL should follow him down. Back to Fountain Kid, staying alive, just barely. Falls down to XQ, but they answer right on back in a 1-for-3 trade. LGD, way less, looking around the side, says, no thank you, I'm going to get out of there. Spends his Ghost. Actually didn't touch on that he gets a Ghost, and he's trying to damage out Illusion. 17 making the long haul down to the bot side. That's going to be Illusion out of the fight. 2v2 commences Youngsu and Kitties. Youngsu's low. Oh my goodness, that's a lot of damage. You got to get out of there. Flashing away. Winter's Bite going to give him the slowdown. Ball is on, and he jumps and leaps, and that's going to be a dead dragon. 2 dragons now in the pocket of LGD, and a half dragon to boot.
So technically across the gold trade, they are exactly even, as you can say, 19.6k to 19.6k. And the reason being is that the global objective of the dragon was actually traded for that mid tower. You see that stump right now on your screen. The extra kills did help. However, great play by Wayless and 17 to get involved on the back half of that and, you know, pick up another stray dragon, as you like to put it, on the back end, but...
Yeah, I think they just have, you've been calling it, they have better objective control this game in particular.
They are so superior at rotations than pretty much most of the other Chinese teams. I talk about it all the time how I actually think that LGD is in a much better position strategically to be a dark horse of China. Not necessarily, you know, in making worlds or anything like that, but of upsetting the standings and making sure that teams that really need to get in, like Starhorn, like World Elite, don't. Simply because they're strategically superior than their mechanical counterparts.
Sounds like a topic for the finger trap. I'll defer to you for the time being. But Yang-Su, he won't defer to anyone. He wants to chase out 17. That's not going to end quite so well for him if Shuan has his way about it, but he doesn't look like he's going for it. They got a pretty deep pink ward around that side as well, so they'll be able to ping out where that Jarvan is. However, in the meanwhile, it looks like we're going to see a 4-man collapse on the bot side. PYL and XQ realize something up, smelling the danger. Illusion comes out of hiding, and he's going to find himself a Thresh. PYL on the run. Zatai on the chase, polymorphed away, and he will not live through this one, but neither will Illusion. Big shockwave landing, and that's the bailout chance for XQ. They trade jungler for support, and it looks like they'll be happy to make that one. For all the investment that Invictus made, they still end up going 1-for-1.
They should get the tower, though. They have a wave to push onto it. It is decently low. It's now really up to them of whether they want to take it to 1 health and just kind of leave it for, you know, a rainy day fund, or if they're going to just take the global gold here. So
yeah,
that death means a little bit more for IG.
It definitely helps out a little bit. Now, Yang-Su found Xuan, and he thinks he might want himself a pair of double buffs, but got to be careful about that. No idea where 17 is, as well as the top turret going down too. So they have 3 turrets, crack the map wide open, and they still retain all of theirs. So far, Invictus, despite some sloppy plays, they really have been controlling the tempo of the map a little bit better. Whereas they've given up Dragon Control over to LGD, and this is not going to end pretty. 17 with the teleport in, says, no, that's our blue buff, you can't have it, but they have to go home without it anyway. Oh, wait a minute. No, it was given.
No, they lost it.
Yeah. I'm sorry, I looked at the Jarvan, I'm like, oh, he has the other team's blue buff, okay.
No, effectively what's been keeping IG in this, frankly, has been Zatai, his effective roams to bottom and to top as well. The fact that he put so much pressure into that mid lane, so being that, you know, that true hyper carry mid lane that everyone knew he had the potential to be. You have to think of the context of China. White's cool, although hold on a second, because Illusion going a little bit hard on Wayless.
Yep, and he gets himself nice and big to make the damage happen. Wayless, realizing something was up, gets out of there as quickly as he can. You can never chase very hard when there's a Braum waiting around the side. It's a wonder that this actually made it through the picks and bans and that Kitties was able to snatch it up.
So referring back to the dynasty of Zatai.
The dynasty.
Cool, Whites, Messiah, Zatai were considered kind of the 4 top-tier mid laners in China. Now everyone knows who Cool is, everyone knows who Messiah is, they're legends. Whites, of course, was right up there with them. Whites retired, Messiah retired.
Of course, Cool's back.
Cool is now back, incredibly informed, but it was almost like, you know, with those 3 gone, it was really up to Zatai to blossom like a butterfly and come forth into his strength. And he took like a straight nosedive into the ground and just could not find his consistency, whether that be through champion issues or anything like that. But when he does pull out, you know, real champions like Zed, like Yasuo, like the big meta picks, so incredibly potent on them, and so incredibly important to his team. Oh yes, definitely.
Yep, now Illusion really favoring on the bot side, but we're going to see a collapse from Xuan. And there's always the option of Wayless getting in the mix as well. They really want to start taking more control of this jungle. And look at Yang-Su, able to push this Jax away. He's going for Triforce very early. Well, I guess not very early, because he just didn't complete the Vamp Scepter. So because he doesn't have any completed items, he's being bullied out very hard by Yang-Su, although he's got to be careful not to take too much damage from Jax. The dueling potential is there. Teleport available for Yang-Su if they want to make a fight out of it. Not for 17. Seems to use that teleport quite a lot.
Actually, and you touched on it, I want to talk about how I think it's very smart that he actually went Trinity as opposed to the Bork first, simply because he is using that teleport a lot, so he's not necessarily fighting directly against Yang-Su's Dragon Form resistances, although Yang-Su isn't actually that tanky. She does scale with resistances as opposed to health, like Renekton, but he's getting involved with fighting, you know, people like Kog'Maw, people like Lulu, so that Sheen does more for him than his straight 1v1 matchup.
And, whoa, Kitties wants to start a fight. Illusion is around the side as well. They're really just continuing to try and feel LGD out this game. They know they have a slight lead on the map, and they should be able to secure the next dragon, which is available now. So they start it up. It's being pinged out almost immediately. PYL and Shuan want to make something of it. They have XQ around the side, but they're a little slow to react. Not sure if they want to. Kitties goes around the side, and that's going to be a dragon given over to IG now as they start making moves going forward. LGD, a couple of missed opportunities, and they've just not been able to keep up in this game.
And really what's kind of swinging the power for IG right now, they have 2 sight stones. If I may direct your attention to their items, you have a sight stone on Evelyn, and you also have a sight stone, of course, on the support right there. And then look at that pink ward that Jax is kind of wandering across the top of. How long has that been active? For about, what, 10 minutes close to now?
Yeah, it's like they haven't even seen it.
Exactly, they haven't even passed through it. It's effectively giving them complete control over that red buff, which Illusion did get the steal on last time. The superior ward control over the dragon area, obviously giving them the final... Oh, hold on a second, 17's now looking at the delicious dragon.
Jarvan, hidden Jax, Yongsu, gotta be careful, he's gonna drag his descent over the way, and way less is gonna make sure he finishes him up. That's gonna be a kill over to Xuan, and the rest of IG scrambling to try and make something of it, but they don't have the numbers anymore. And they back away. LGD, nice collapse for a kill.
And effectively, IG gets nothing on that. They do get to secure their red buff. Or LGD gets to secure their red buff also. We were just talking about how they have superior vision control over the bottom side of the map, obviously, because Dragon was up for contestant. They do not have superior vision control on that top, and Youngsu literally got burned for it.
Yeah, just, you'd think fire wouldn't hurt a dragon, but after a while, it definitely starts to sting a little bit. One death more onto that. So they have been doing a pretty good job at shutting down the out of position, or punishing rather the positioning of Invictus Gaming's solo laners. However, when they do get together, the team fights tend to go in IG's favor so far. So what does LGD do from here? Do they continue to try and set up picks until they can hold out to where their late game Tristana will start to kick in? Or do they need to take the fight to IG?
They have a superior wombo combo composition, so the 5v5 will always be incredibly potent to them, especially because Wayless is frankly doing rather well. 2-0-2, 221 CS. He's by no means behind. That Orianna is very big. The issue, though, is that there's no reason for IG to fight them right now. There's no objective that's being contested. You know, Dragon's not available. They haven't really contested for Baron, despite this being China, and it's past 20 minutes.
Well, we've seen entire matches without Baron. Anything is possible. Yongsu once again trying to run away from 17. My golems, you can't have them. Well, you can have one. Okay, the other one's mine.
So the issue now is not that LGD like preferably want picks, but it's just that at this point in the game, picks are all that's available. And speaking of picks,
yeah, way less narrowly avoids that particular fate. Wow. Well, that was all going on. Kitties, it's a tie, and everyone else are now joining the party to try and push on this second-tier mid-turret. But they have the run of the jungle. There are a lot of wards there they could sweep on out, pick themselves up a nice bit of gold. A couple of pinks available, and they will be able to find them Illusion. Oh, hey, that's 30 more gold. Let's take that. Give it over to Kid. Why not, right? Wait, I thought you got it. No, you were going to get it. Okay.
Highlight for me this game was when Wayless actually, I don't know if you saw this, when he was taking the wolf camp, he swept the wolf camp and he found the ward on the back of it. Like, who thinks
I wonder if this is recorded right now. Oh, hidden camera. Okay, cool. Yeah, inside the minds of players sometimes. Now it is LGD's turn to push on this turret. This might be their first of the game, and they're going to be welcome to it, apparently, as LGD knocks down the first of many walls up in the top lane. They also have 17 happily. I don't even know how to describe the sound effect that Jax makes. Thunking? Yeah, we'll go with that.
That's the best I got.
It's really hard to actually describe it in a sound. I've got no...
It causes post-traumatic stress disorder for me. So many bad memories.
I don't even ban Jax anymore. It's not no problem. Rito took care of that with the nerfs.
Rude. He's not taking care of 17 right now.
No, he's not.
Got his Trinity Force complete.
Definitely not.
Taking that top tower.
Get that one out. And now it is LGD running the jungle on this side. What is IG doing with all this? They are taking their time to push up towards the mid and slowly rotate around LGD. This could get really ugly.
The map is completely dark there for pretty much both teams. They kind of have an inkling of where each other are. Okay, there they go.
Now they know exactly what's going on. Kitty separates from the pack as IG continues the mobile roam and really do nothing but take farm squad, which is a terrible name. It doesn't fit on a t-shirt.
Give me one of those t-shirts.
Yeah. $16.99 plus tax. It'll take about 2 weeks to get to your house. Anyways, they're back to just trying to make sure that they don't get anyone caught up. Very much about protecting Kid, and you can see that they're trying to cover the routes that he might be approached by, waiting for the fight to happen. Illusion going to start a back here. Kitty's still waiting. Youngsu and Zatai in the mid. But they have to do something about this. LGD is starting to seize a little bit more control back, and they haven't answered really in any meaningful way.
That pink ward is still alive. That's meaningful.
We're going to get a timer going on this, actually. When did they place it? About 4 minutes?
It was live at the last time we referred to it was at 19 minutes. So, you know, it's almost been another 5 minutes where that thing has been available. Like, the cost effectiveness of that ward right now
is off the charts.
That is an investment.
And you know what? That'll be a sweet 30 gold when they find it, but LGD, when did this get here? Oh, man. That'll happen one of these days, you would hope. But so far, they've been pretty good about clearing out the more conventional ward placements. Now, as it gets into about 24 minutes, you would think Baron's going to be started contested, but the Dragon is up in 13 seconds. That is where everyone is motioning right now. Looks like LGD in a slightly better position to take this. Youngsu having to back away from 17 while they're both occupied on the top side. Teleports available both sides, and this could be a bloody fight if they go for it. But so far, it has been pretty decisive. Illusion waiting around the side to see if LGD does start this one off, and they're not looking for the Dragon. They're looking for picks.
Illusion doing a good job, making sure to sidestep any sort of vision, not giving himself away. Of course, LG knows that he's around in the area.
Oh, they're going to go for it. Kid, he gets separated, and then they have to back off the Dragon. Now Shuan in the Cataclysm with Kid and Kitties. They're backing away. Wayless is going low, but so is Illusion. He's going to fall down, and they turn it around. Shuan, he's going to fall to the Ignite as well. 17 now, getting locked up. That's a lot of damage being dealt in the AoE, though. That is a big kill, a big pick. Wayless is going to come up big, but not big enough for his team. Everybody, well, maybe big enough for his team. Everybody on Invictus Gaming, but Zatai is going to fall down. Steal attempt comes in, and he gets it! Zatai stealing the Dragon away. Oh, my goodness. They're right back into it with a really nice turn of fortune. Zatai with the perfect timing.
Is that the Zatai? No, two things right there. The teleports were huge. It was a beautiful teleport from Youngsu. Frankly, it just was. That said, 17 on that Jax. We talk about kind of the window of relevancy for Jax. He's going to be a powerhouse no matter what. You can slow that down, but you cannot change that. And unfortunately, Youngsu could not change that at all. We have the replay. Of course, Kid getting locked up. Immediately into the fight me in the cage. Of course, a nice wild growth that keeps Kid alive, but unfortunately,
no idea what he was doing that far out, though.
Too little too late, got hooked up. Here comes the teleport here, and the damage from 17 is insane. The fact that he rushed that Trinity so he's able to tear through those squishies with Sheen procs.
Yeah, and you can see, oh man, that's crazy. But the Dragon Steel really capped it off for me. Zatai managing to make the most of a bad situation and snag a Dragon, taking the slimmest of gold leads over LGD despite that big, big loss. And now you think LGD is probably confident to pick a fight at this point.
They need to pick their fights smarter. So how their composition should work is it should be a flank from Illusion with Evelyn ult, followed immediately by the Braum ult. Kid has to be in a far superior position than he has been. Obviously, he has the range. Like, obviously, Jarvan can dive to the back lane, but it should be much harder than, you know, Kid getting locked up by a death sentence and hand-delivered.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes. Youngsu, they're going to find Shuan. They really want to take this one. Invictus, so aggressive despite how it turned out last time. Ball's going to land. That's a lot of damage. And Shuan getting the lockup as well. He's going to fall in his own Cataclysm. And they turn it around. That's a kill over to Kid, who's staying alive somehow throughout all of this. And they turn it around again. XQ going down. That is a big bunch of kills. Jax having to back away. And they're going to risk a Baron here with only Kitties down. Kid is a blinking health bar. And it's just 17. No teleport available on the bot. He'll try to answer back with a tower, but Invictus Gaming, how about that fight? They knew they could do that. I didn't believe for a second, but wow.
They knew that they could do it because they had vision on 17 being in the bottom lane. In the previous fight, literally not 2 minutes earlier, they knew that the teleport was still down because it had been used to engage that fight. So they knew that the powerhouse that had really kind of like turned that last fight on the head, 17th Jax, was not going to be available. They knew they had a numbers advantage, which is why they commit so hard to this. Like, look at the bottom of your screen right now, not necessarily at the team fight. They have vision because he's in the creep wave, so they know where Jax is. this was just a terrible call from LGD and a fantastic recognition of IG. The other big thing that really saved Kid's life is he actually gets pulled into the brush here, and he drops vision. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that was incredible.
If that ult had not pushed him into that brush to drop line of sight, they could have at least traded for the AD carry. But that's a free Baron to IG, and more importantly, it's on the two most important characters, Lulu and Kog'Maw.
Yep, that, it just seems that LGD was not with it that time strategically. They didn't even have XQ ready to engage in the middle of it. The fact that they decided to turn around after the ball landed, after the Dragon's Descent was thwarted, and then Xuan just decides to dive in anyways. Yes, he was caught, but they could have just sacrificed at that point, and instead they gave up a lot more than they needed to. And now with the Baron threat, IG is looking to try and push even further in to this territory. They did lose a tower in exchange for that, but I think they're pretty okay with that trade.
Still a very close game. Slim gold lead. It's now about if IG can commit this Baron to anything important. We do have the second tier mid tower going down to the split push Lulu. That's the thing, apparently.
Yep, that's happening. So they turn their attention, of course, to the bot side, pick themselves up another, and now they are looking for the fight. Say, come out and play. We're ready for you. They will rotate instead towards the mid side. Game in their control at this point, but it could still be turned around. LGD has been showing some excellent plays this game, and now Youngsu in the midst of getting caught up with the counter-strike, trying to get away from this one. They could try for the one-man shockwave, but they won't. Youngsu going to get the Dragon's Descent to get away from this one. Everyone else from Invictus on the run. 17 looking to maybe commit to this one. Maybe a little bit too far. Kitties goes forward, gets hit with the distance, gets hooked up by PYL. Illusion getting knocked back by the Buster shot. Youngsu in the picture. That's a wild growth. That's going to be a dragon around for a while. XQ might fall down, and it's Youngsu getting the kill. They're still going forward. 17. This dragon is so big right now, finally falling down, but job well done as they end up trading 1 for 2. XQ and Xuan already fallen, and Kitties looking to make a bigger play. Getting locked up. The flash being used to keep PYL alive, and I didn't actually know this, but apparently Thresh's hook extends magically when he flashes.
Huge play from Youngsu right there. Obviously, just overcommit from 17. It is going to transfer into possibly a free inhibitor, so not what LGD
well, maybe
wanted.
Not just free. They get a little bit of pocket change on the back of that. Wayless goes down, surprise move. Kid comes up big, and now LGD running scared. They are going to try and end this. Every time it looks dire for Invictus, they start coming out with these huge plays. Tower number 1, gonna go down. That's Kog'Maw. 17 tries to make a desperate play. He's got nothing to fall back on. His health bar is melting. That armor shred is ridiculous. Youngsu teleporting in. This is going to probably be the end of this all. If it goes in Invictus' favor, it's just the Naked Nexus now. They've only got one inhibitor. They're going for it. They're going for the end right now. This is huge. Kid gets knocked away. PYL staying alive. 17 goes down on the side. Another kill over to that Kog'Maw. PYL finally going to fall down to Zatai, who's chasing away the remnants of the resistance. And XQ having to go all the way back to Fountain. Game number 1 ends abruptly to Invictus Gaming